Guys, chapter 179 finally here, man. And look, I know the big chapter of the week right now was One Piece and the crazy reveal. No spoils, obviously. But yeah, we're gonna get into chapter 179. I'm a little sad because one of my favorite characters so far in this little battle, Uro Takako, looks like she's down for the count. And God, man, we got the creepy cockroach cursed spirit back like never before. But we had some very interesting things happen in this chapter. So again, let's just review, right? So chapter starts off, we kind of get an explanation of what's really going on second by second here. And so we get explained that both Udo and Ishigoori are preventing Rika. They do not want Rika to enter in these barriers, because if she enters in the barrier, it's really not gonna matter. It's gonna be a problem if Rika's there for the both of them, right? So both of their interests are aligned at that point. So as the domain expansions are forming, we see this, like, it's kind of interesting, the image that's portrayed here, but it's kind of like this yarn that's slowly being put together and about to be like sewed shut. But Rika's staring at this basically giant barrier forming, and Rika is kind of contemplating like what the heck is going on. And they explain that because Rika comes from Rika Orimoto, she still has those feelings for Yuta, right? So it's still interesting how this goes, but it's not Rika, because Rika is gone, she's deceased, she's laid to rest in peace. But the cursed spirit has the same, personality, or it's still Rika, but with her actual spirit disconnected, right? Making her still the cursed spirit that she is. And then we see Rika kind of go crazy. We see give Yuta back, and we see her eye open, and we get that crazy one-eyed monster that we know so well. And then in that moment, at first when I saw this, I thought Rika transformed into Kuroroshi, right? And then I realized after, looking, I'm like, no, this is coming from a different angle, because even Yuta is surprised in the right hand side of the panel. And so he goes, I love the taste of iron, as creepy as he is. And so it goes into an explanation basically talking about how Kuroroshi, even though he died, other cockroaches, his children, were basically strengthened by the idea of, because the fear of cockroaches, that's something, very obviously present. There's no debating that. The fear of bugs, and especially cockroaches. All that cursed energy got siphoned off to Kuroroshi's children. So even though it's not actually Kuroroshi, right, it's still the cursed spirit cockroach. So my guess is maybe not as strong, but since it is I don't know if we know for sure if it's not a vengeful cursed spirit, obviously, but it's definitely a special grade through and through. But I'm not sure of the power level of this guy. But again, he's basically revived because of the fear of cockroaches in Japan, right? So we get a crazy event, and it kind of sucks that it happened, but we get an explanation. What's even more complex than a two-way domain expansion is a three-way domain duel. Because of this, or because of the differences between the internal and external conditions for building their barriers and the influence of unexpected intruders, the barrier collapses. So they go through the whole entire phase of trying to build a barrier. Kuroroshi interferes with that barrier, and we get a shot of, like, it looks like black glass falling everywhere. We see Ishigoori looking chill as hell, Takako looking bad as hell. And we get Yuta unfazed by all of this, right? Yuta's demeanor has changed so much since, like, watching Movie Zero and also reading it too. Like, he's just so calm in these situations. Yeah, so yeah, we see Ishiguro. Okay, so he is lighting a cigarette. I was wondering what he was doing, but looking closely, he is lighting a cigarette during the whole thing. So my girl makes a fatal flaw. She diverts her attention to Kuroroshi, which I don't blame her, because Kuroroshi is disgusting. But it's mentioned that for her, Kuroroshi is a tricky opponent. Now, I really thought about it. I'm like, you know what? What can Kuroroshi do to Takako that's tricky? And honestly, I think she could obviously take Kuroroshi, but listen, I don't think that would be that tricky. I would be curious to see that fight, to be honest, right? Because I'm like, is it really that tricky of an opponent for her? But you never know. And then literally from behind, Okotsu kicks this Takako, right? She saves herself from the landing, but now I think this is something new that we learned. I'm trying to remember, but let me read it real quick, right? Right after domain expansion, techniques will burn out and become harder to use. Actually, no, we do know that, because whenever you use a domain expansion, cursed energy in general is just hard to come by. It's like almost impossible, right? So we see her struggling to get out a technique, and it literally disappears as she's about to do a move, and Kuroroshi comes in, slices her arm off, and then her arm flops on the ground, and then Rika bites on the arm. Unbelievable. So it sucks, but this is literally like a 4-way battle now. But she got distracted at the wrong time. And it got mentioned by Ishigoori that Udo can use reverse curse technique. So I didn't even know that. So these, like, guys, all, like, these two, Udo and Ishigoori, are so, like, these guys are special grades, man. Without a doubt, this is a special grade fight. There's no thinking otherwise. These guys are at the top level. I really don't think Megumi or Yuji, Yuji was Sukuna, but I just don't think they could take them, man. I'm really trying to think. Maybe, I don't even know if Todo could necessarily take these guys, because they're really at the top here. But anyway, right? So we see Ishigori mention that, good thing taking off one of her limbs, even though she can use reverse curse technique, right? She can't necessarily heal up her arm so easily, which is true, because if something is cut off, you can't heal it back with reverse curse energy, right? Unless there's something we don't know that someone out there can do. But as far as we know, if something is detached, it cannot be healed with reverse curse energy. And she says, "How dare you take my arm, Fujiwara?" And then Ishigori saying, "That's enough, Udo. You haven't been invited to the meal." Still sticking with the whole idea of the feast or food and stuff like that. And because of Ishigori and his curse energy output, it doesn't really matter if he's using some technique. He could still output a crazy amount of cursed energy, right? So we see I was about to call her Fujiwara. We see Udo look up, and we get a granite blast being sent to both Kuroroshi and Udo. And we look at the next panel on the side here, and she's basically out. She is unconscious. She's done. Now, I don't know what's going to happen, but for now, she's done, right? And then we see Kuroroshi half, like part of his body is taken off. You see his left hand is scathed. His face is messed up. And then this was cold. Yuta literally grabs his head, puts a little reverse curse energy on him, and he literally dissipates. His head is just gone. Now, it's just Rika, Yuta, and Ishigori. And we get a little image of like the table being set, and then we see Yuta say, "Let's go, Rika." So, here's my predictions, right? I think what's gonna happen here is we're gonna get a pretty intense fight between Ishigoori, because he's not necessarily affected by this whole idea of, okay, domain expansion, now it's gonna be hard to use curse technique, because he could just send out granite blast. So Yuta's gonna come out on top. I think for sure Ishigoori will be killed. Udo, because she's down for the count, I don't know what's gonna happen, but Yuta's gonna have one last conversation with her. Now, I don't know if she's most likely gonna die, but in these different colonies, we've gotten this thing where Yuji's met someone and they talk it out and they're cool. Megumi met someone, which was what, Rin? Or oh god, what was her name? Oh my god. If it's Rin, please let me know in the comments. I forgot her name, but I remember it being starting with an R, but we'll just say Rin for now. The girl with the long hair. He didn't kill her, so I'm wondering if Yuta will exercise Udo Takako, right? It's just something we'll have to see. But yeah, man, it sucks that we didn't get to see a 3-way domain expansion, but it's even crazier what's happening in this all-out duel in the Sendai colony. It's 3v3, 4v4, like it's not 3v3, a 3-way fight, and then we get a 2v2, 4-way fight. It's just all crazy, man. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think in the comments, man. I'm out.